What is up, grinders? It's crunch time. It's early. We're opening the floodgates at 3:30. Why? And never in all my years, I don't think, have I had a main slate on a Saturday at 4 p.m. But here we are, specifically 4:05 p.m. I'm Will Prieston, Chief Justice 06 in the DFS streets, here with Keith Eister. Let's bring Keith in. He's ready. He's pumped. He's got the goods for you guys. I'm not doing any analysis today. I'm here for shenanigans. I'm here for props. I'm just kidding. I will be providing analysis as well. Keith, what's going on, my man? How's everything?
Not much. Doing well. Yeah, glad you walked that back a little bit. I was like, oh man, I got to carry the whole show here, and Will's just going to be goofing around. But no, it's a good little slate here. We got some pitching. I like a couple of offenses. So I mean, a bit earlier of a start on Saturday. Like a lot of times on Saturdays, we get these split slates where there's only a handful of games on each slate. Now we've got a pretty decent one here early, so a smaller night slate tonight, but pretty good slate here at 4 Eastern.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a good slate. Look, before we get started, I don't want to have to be a peddler today. Please, folks, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to try not to mention that again. We love you guys. We appreciate you watching us, especially on a Saturday with the early slate. Like these are the troopers I think we have here today, Keith, right? Like these aren't the fly-by-nighters. Like these are the grinders, the guys that are going to come on and hang out with us for, about 30, 45 minutes to handle the slate. First up on the docket, let's get the particulars out of the way. You already know what to do. Get over to Scores and Odds. This is the #1 place for all things sports betting. You've got Keith that's providing picks. I'm providing picks. Luch is providing picks. Dre is providing picks. Grant's providing picks. Andy Means is providing picks. Derek Carty's providing picks. Listen, we want to help you guys make some money. Get over to Scores and Odds. Not to forget, our illustrious sponsor of this show, that's Fanduel, right? Fanduel is giving you a special bonus offer at their sportsbook. Now, this is incredible, people. Listen to this. $5, and you're going to get $200 in free bets, regardless of whether or not your bet wins or loses. Terms and conditions apply. Of course, get over to the FanDuel Sportsbook and put a few more dollars in your pocket. All right, I got that out of the way. I'm going to bring my level back down here. Want to get excited, but for sure, get in there and hit up these promotions. Keith, we're going to pitching. We're starting with FanDuel. I've got a guy that I love. We did not talk about this pre-show, so this is coming hot off the press. Who do you like on FanDuel? We're starting with tournaments. We're going to scrap cash until the end. We're talking tournaments first, cash second. Give it to me, Keith. I need the hotness. Who is my pitcher on FanDuel?
Oh man, tournaments first, huh? Okay. So Dylan Cease I love today, but he is coming with quite a bit of an ownership. So I'd probably be looking to get off of that a little bit. I've got my eye on Andy Ashby. I like that price tag at 8,200. San Diego just has not been the same offense without Fernando Tatis. Ashby mowed down 12 Cubs, I think it was, in his last outing. So strikeout stuff looks good. A little bit of an issue with the walks at times, but I like this matchup against San Diego here. So Ashby would be my first look. I do like some of the other guys. If we have the money, Pablo Lopez has been just phenomenal this year.
Oh God.
Pretty tough matchup against San Francisco here, but good ballpark to pitch in. And like he's been going deep into games. The strikeouts have been up a little bit. So I like Lopez a good amount. And Mackenzie Gore, the young guy for San Diego, as well as another guy. Like what we're seeing out of him. But I'd go Ashby first, I think, if I had to pick one.
Yeah, so let me ask you this, Keith, because I feel like Ashby is the guy that everyone wants to play, but he's also the guy that I feel like perhaps we think he's coming in a lot lower owned than what our projections are saying, and then he ends up around 20-25%. That's my feeling, and clearly I could be wrong because I'm looking at Dylan Cease around 30%, which makes a ton of sense considering the fact that Tampa Bay, you talk about Tatis not being in this San Diego lineup. How about Wander Franco not being in this Tampa Bay lineup? It's night and day, in my opinion. I mean, a guy that's pretty much going to get on base or drive in a run almost every at bat in Wander Franco. Him not being in this lineup for sure has me intrigued with Dylan Cease at 9,600. And I think the ownership reflects that. I'm with you on Ashby. I think he's the better value here. In fact, when I did my shell lineup, Ashby was the first guy that I put in. We got a chance to see a ceiling game against the Cubs, like you talked about with 12 Ks. I'm actually afraid this ownership might be too low. What's your read on that? I think it's still a little bit too low. I think maybe we need to tweak this up to at least 15%. I could clearly be wrong. A lot of guys are working behind the scenes to get this thing right. But Ashby, does feel a touch too low considering the matchup and what he was able to get done. We might have a little bit of recency bias that pushes that ownership up a tad. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I think people will see that big 12 strikeout performance, and that's where they're going to look, especially since you get about $1,000 discount on the other guys. Like Gore is phenomenal, Webb is phenomenal, Pablo Lopez, and Pivetta, I think, needs to be in this conversation as well. All those guys are 9K and above, and Ashby is at 8,200. So I do agree with you that he will be the highest owned of this top tier. I think it'll be still pretty spread out. So I don't know if he makes 20%, but I could see him up in that like 14-15% range.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely like that. And then you guys know me, man. I can't go a slate without plugging in some props. I do have an Ashby prop on Prize Picks at 5 strikeouts. I'm definitely taking the over there. And I've got Mackenzie Gore at 93.5 pitches. I'm actually taking the under. Hasn't really passed that, but twice this season. And it's not that I'm expecting him to get touched up. I just don't think, excuse me. I just don't think they're going to, it seems like they're content on keeping him around the 90 mark, just around their upper 80s, lower 90s. Excuse me, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened to my voice there, but so yeah, I'm going with Mackenzie Gore under there. And then in terms of hitting props, I was debating about this one all day. In terms of the hitter fantasy score, it's based on DraftKings scoring. They've got Jose Ramirez at 8.5. I'm going to take the over. They've got Altuve at 7.5, getting really good value on that one, I think. I'm going to take the over there as well. And then in terms of pitcher fantasy score, I was sitting on this one. I think I'm going to go with Dylan Cease over 35.5 and Logan Webb over 34.5. So just want to point those out, kind of get my prop situation out of the way, and then we will resume. Keith, any other pitchers you like for tournaments? I do think Tristan McKenzie is another wild card. I know you mentioned, maybe you mentioned Mackenzie Gore, but I do think Tristan McKenzie against Baltimore is in play as well. And so he's a guy that's on the list. And then I'm pretty much scratching out everybody under Ashby. Like, I'm just not touching them. It's pretty much Ashby. And I agree with you on Pivetta against Oakland. We've seen Oakland get mowed down by a lot of guys. Tristan McKenzie, Dylan Cease, Logan Webb. That's kind of my pitching pool there for FanDuel. Anybody else you want to add?
Luis Garcia, you can mess around with that if you want to. He's been pretty good here. A little bit of a short leash. Don't like the strikeout matchup against Kansas City, so I'm not finding myself there a ton. Pavetta is really cheap on DraftKings, which I'm sure we're about to talk about that, but
Yeah.
he's far more in play for me there. I don't know, like he's had some strikeouts this year, and it obviously has a phenomenal matchup against Oakland, but I just don't love that price tag here. I think Ashby has more upside below him. I do like the Tristan McKenzie call, good matchup here with Baltimore. But yeah, it's Cease, Ashby, a little bit of Gore, a little bit of Pablo, a little bit of McKenzie, Tristan McKenzie, that is. So yeah, I mean, I'm paying up as much as possible here on Fanduel.
For sure. Look, let's hop over to DK since you mentioned that. So on DK for me is where it gets really interesting today, because I think our boys Ashby is going to be our number one play, I think. And remember, we're still talking tournaments, people. We'll cover some cash as well. But at 7,700 for Ashby, like he feels like the number one play. But there's a lot of value on DK. Logan Webb, 8,500. McKenzie, 8,300. Pavetta, 7,900. And then you've got Dylan Cease at 99. Like how I think on FanDuel, I'm very intrigued with just saying, hey, I don't play anybody past Logan Webb. And I just play Webb, McKenzie, Pavetta, Ashby, and I see where the chips fall. What say ye, Keith? I'm really intrigued in this double kind of lower mid-tier pitching situation.
Yeah, the ownership on Pavetta and Ashby will be interesting to keep an eye on, and put Tristan McKenzie in there too, because I think the way to go on DraftKings here is you can spend up for Cease or Gore and then go down to one of these mid-range pitchers, and you still have plenty of upside in your lineups. Right now we have Pavetta projecting to be higher owned than Ashby. I'm not sure if that ends up being the case, just because.
I mean, they're pretty equal considering the matchup today. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, figuring that out, I think, is going to be a key to this slate. I have a slight preference for Ashby. I don't know if it's the recency bias, and I'm seeing the big strikeout number as well. I just don't trust Pavetta. He's been pretty decent here for a couple starts in a row. I just feel like he's tough to play because he can get wild as well. Probably more safety in Pavetta's matchup today for sure, but I have a slight lean to Ashby.
Yeah, I definitely think that's probably what it is. And maybe, and perhaps, Keith, because Pavetta has seemingly a better projection number on him, then that's probably another thing that's playing into the ownership. I still feel like Ashby's a better play here for what it's worth. I could be wrong. I think in terms of upside, I do think they're similar. I think Ashby has more upside. Like we just saw 12 Ks. I'm not expecting 12 Ks today. I actually am expecting around 7, though, Keith. Like I've got him projected for 7. I think 7 is pretty reasonable considering the situation. And I've got Pavetta projected for 6. Now, Pavetta could easily go 6 or 7, and Ashby could even, go 6 to 8. But, I think they're close. I'm still going to lean Ashby here. I am very intrigued with Logan Webb on DK, where I feel like perhaps Miami is getting a little bit too much respect here. And, when I pulled the numbers, it's nothing against Miami as a team in general, because I do think, they're young and they're probably starting to get exciting. But look, Logan Webb on the season, his numbers don't look great, but I'm here to tell you, like, he's starting to get rolling here. And I think the start that did it for me with Logan Webb was when we can go and we can face a team like the Mets, right? And we can face teams like Philly, and we can start get going here. Like, to me, that's very intriguing. 6 Ks against the Mets, who have had a much better or much lower strikeout rate to righties than they have lefties this season. And while Philly does have strikeouts, he went 8 innings, 9 Ks, 100 pitches. Like, Logan Webb this is starting to get exciting to me. And I know the season numbers this season, where he's sitting at 20% overall, but even more importantly, Keith, 59.8% ground ball rate, 5.6% walk rate, 3.59 xFIP, and he gets a Miami team that he's got at least 6 guys above a 20% K rate. I'm really intrigued with Logan Webb on DK because there really isn't that big of a price differential. And so I like that. If you combine Logan Webb's last season with this season, Keith, he's at a 25% K rate. I think he's trending more towards 25 as we've kind of gotten past the first quarter of his starts for the season. You know what I'm saying? Like he kind of came in, everybody's a little bit rocky because they didn't really have a complete spring training. And then now I think you're starting to see Logan Webb kind of round into form. Logan Webb's going to be 9,500 within the next 2 starts, maybe even the next start. I think we got him at 8,500 today. It's a good time to hop on the train because we may not see him at this price again until he goes into Coors, and I'll even play him at 8,500 in Coors. How do you feel about Logan Webb in tournaments? I think it's a great play.
You have made some excellent points, and you sold me. I'm fully on board here. Just kind of looking back at his game logs, like you see that you said it, the 20% strikeout rate on the season, and that's not something that looks very good, and not something that we might not want to target. But if you dig in a little bit deeper and look at his matchups, that like the first 2 starts, you said that's still spring training, so we can just throw those out. And then his matchups were against very low strikeout teams, some of the lowest in baseball. He got the Mets, he got Washington twice, and he got St. Louis twice, and then he went into Coors Field. So I mean, I think you make a phenomenal point that it seems like his strikeouts are down, but I think it's just kind of his opponents and who he's faced has looked really good in the last 2 here. And you look at what he did last year, and it looked like he was on his way to becoming an ace.
Yeah.
So just a very talented pitcher. Love this matchup against Miami, as you alluded to as well. You sold me. I'm fully on board with that.
Cool. I like it a lot. Just in terms of cash, I do, and I'm going to just kind of throw, this is my viewpoint for both sides, Keith, and clearly we want your opinion as well. I think for cash on DK, it's a combination of Dylan Cease and either Webb, Ashby, Pavetta, something like that. And then on FanDuel, I think it's Dylan Cease. Like that's my read for cash. What's your read for cash at the pitching position?
Yeah, Dylan Cease is the first guy in. You talked about Franco not being in that Tampa Bay lineup. Dylan Cease has been over 30% strikeouts on the year. Going into Tampa, one of the best pitchers parks in baseball. So I think he's the clear cash game play. For tournaments, you know, the ownership number is big, but I still think he has the most upside on the slate as well. So I'll have plenty of Cease in tournaments. But yeah, Cease is the first guy I want in, and then SP2 on DK. I agree. I think you can save a little bit of money. I'm personally going down to Ashby just to save a couple hundred over Webb. Like how the lineup shakes out there. I think, yeah, it'd be Webb, Pavetta, or Ashby in that conversation for SP2 DK cash.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right. Well, since we're sitting on DK, let's just kind of go around the horn here and see if we can help some people at these positions specifically. How are you feeling at catcher? There's actually a fair amount at the top here today. Like when you've got Sal Perez and you got Garver against Gonzalez. So between those two, I don't think I'm as interested today. I'm probably more interested with guys in this 3K range. How are you feeling at catcher? What's kind of your top play, and then we'll kind of spread down to some of these guys for our stats.
Yeah, I mean, Garver, it looks great. He's been phenomenal against lefties throughout his career. Marco Gonzalez, not a lefty I'm scared of. So between those two, I'd lean to Garver. I respect Luis Garcia as a pitcher. I think there's a lot of talent there. Houston bullpen is really good. You can play Sal Perez on any slate. Don't get me wrong. Plenty of power there. So don't mind that pivot, but I would pick Garver if choosing between the two. The 3K range, I do like as well. Tyler Stevenson in particular with a great matchup against Fetty. Cincinnati going to be one of the best stacks of the slate. Keibert Ruiz there at 3,900. I like a good amount. I like Washington on the other side of that game going into Cincinnati, which is a great park for home runs. I don't mind Sean Murphy as a pivot. Pavetta is a guy who's given up plenty of hard contact to right-handers. Cal Raleigh is a guy that's just been smashing the ball here recently. He's hitting 9th for Seattle. Not afraid of that matchup against Glenn Otto, so I don't mind a pivot to him either.
Yeah, for sure. I like that a lot. I do have some slight interest in Yasmani Grandal at 3,400. Call me crazy there. And it's really just, lefty righty. He'll be better from the left side of the plate today. And, his numbers haven't been great this season. But, I mean, the walk rate's at 10%. I got to think at some point Yasmani's going to come out of this slump. So he's kind of one of these tournament catchers for me. for sure. I will say this too: if you're able to catch some Mike Zunino fantasy points, like today might be a good day. And I didn't look at that, but today might be a good day if you can get some Zunino fantasy points to take some unders. If you can find it anywhere, or hits or anything like that, because I just don't see him getting there against Dylan Cease. So just wanted to point that out. Any catches on FanDuel before we kind of move on to first base?
I don't think you need to play a catcher on FanDuel, certainly. I would limit it to the higher end guys, Garver, Perez. Don't mind Ruiz because he does have some pop and he gets a nice ballpark upgrade today. But I wouldn't be playing somebody like Cal Raleigh on FanDuel. So I'd probably just stick to those top three. Stevenson would be fine. So those four would be the only four I'd consider on FanDuel. Did we lose Will?
I am here. What's up, folks? Keith, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, let's head on over to first base. It's storming at my house, so you might have it like literally as soon as you said can we hear Will, I said, uh-oh. Because I can hear the rain, so it may have been causing a network issue there. I am hardwired in, so hopefully we can literally weather the storm while we're rolling here. So yeah, let's head over the first base and give the people some nuggets.
Okay, Joey Votto is the clear conversation here. He's just too cheap and has really turned his season around here. Great matchup against Fetty at home in Cincinnati. So absolutely love Joey Votto. Ownership is going to be way up there, but he's far too cheap. There's a guy that can hit two home runs today. Josh Bell is in a great spot as well on the other side of that game, and he's underpriced in a lot of places. Yuli Gurriel is also really cheap. Love the Astros stack today against Buick. Christian Walker has been hitting home runs like crazy. Don't mind him. And then the two Baltimore guys, Mancini and Mountcastle, are both cheap as well. McKenzie, a guy that can give up some hard contact, so don't mind them.
Yeah, I will say on FanDuel, I've got tons of interest in Yuli Gurriel at first at 2,700. Like, that's crazy good against Chris Bubbage. And then a guy that people probably don't want to play today, I don't mind going all the way up to Josh Naylor in this spot here. Like, I'm expecting Cleveland to score some runs today. Full disclosure, I've got a Cleveland-Houston stack on FanDuel with Aaron Ashby, for what it's worth. You don't know how I built it. Nobody knows how I built it. But what I can tell you is it feels like a winner to me.
Sounds pretty good to me, too.
Yeah, it feels like a winner. So we'll see. I like that as well. And then how do you feel about even a guy like Owen Miller? Like, if you kind of want to get away from the platoon advantage, like I think Owen Miller's another guy that you can throw in there if you're stacking Cleveland. So that's good. Okay, I'm going to run this thing over to second base. In my opinion, the top second baseman on the slate today is Jose Altuve on FanDuel at 3,800. On DK, he's over 5K, but I still think he's the number one play. If you look at the numbers here against Bubbage, I mean, he should, and I'm not talking about BVP, I'm saying just pitch type versus the batter. I think he's going to have a really good day at the plate. So he's kind of my number one guy. I don't care if it's cash or tournaments. Do want to get some Jose Altuve in there. And then as an aside, is Trevor Story ever going to cool down at this point? Batting in the 7 hole today, like that gets me even more excited because now nobody wants to play him, especially when he's more expensive than Jose Altuve. I know he's facing Blackburn. I don't care. Give me all of the Trevor Story while he's hot. I think he's the top tournament play on the slate, given lineup batting spot and upside, and he's been swinging a hot bat. Like, I like Story at 3,900. That's where I'm at mostly for tournaments. What's your read at second?
Agree with Altuve as the top play. You mentioned Miller at first. He has second base eligibility as well. And Owen Miller is just a guy who's really underrated. Reminds me of kind of like Ty France. Like, he's just a good hitter. It hasn't really had a position, but I mean, just kind of turning it on and just a really talented overall hitter. So very underrated call there in Owen Miller. I like that one a lot. Kettle Marte has been super hot here. Tough ballpark, but
we knew it would come too. We knew it was coming.
Yep, absolutely. Cesar Hernandez at the top of the Washington lineup. The Washington stack is something I like. So I wouldn't play him on his own as a one-off, but I don't mind him in a stack. Brandon Drury, like the price just seems weird, but he's hitting at the top of the Reds lineup and he's been good this year. So as long as he keeps hitting, I'll keep playing him. A little bit easier to get to on FanDuel. That DK price is weird, but I don't mind him on FanDuel. And then
Wasn't Drury like over 5K one day?
Yeah,
it was insane. I said, well, "What is this? Stop it, people! Stop it!"
Yeah, I mean, he's still 4,800 on DK.
No, I know. But I'm saying over 5 though. My God, and he's 55. 50, this was against Boston. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. I think I like it at second. Anything else at second, Keith?
Just Jazz as a one-off. Like I agree with your Webb take. I think Webb's a really good pitcher. He gets a lot of ground balls, but Jazz can hit a home run, so wouldn't mind him as a one-off.
And just to think, 1 to 2 years ago, Jazz Chisholm was like a guy we picked on for strikeouts, and he's still going to strike out, but now he's putting the other things together to give us fantasy production. What a difference a year or two will make as a guy can grow into his role with the team. Which means they're probably going to lose Jazz at some point because somebody's going to want to pay him. Miami might not be able to pay him. He's going to want to go to a better team. All right, third base, Jose Ramirez. Tell me I'm wrong. That's my guy. How are we feeling?
I've got the conviction tag on him there in lineup HQ, so I'm right there with you. He is my top hitter on the slate. He might be the top hitter in baseball at this point. Dude's had a phenomenal season, driving in all kinds of runs and just kind of carrying this Cleveland offense. So I'm right there.
I still like Bregman against Bubbage. I love Devers. I mean, we can play Devers every day. I mean, these handful of guys, Ramirez, Devers, Bregman, like these are pretty much everyday third basemen. Like you can probably play them almost against anyone, and they're going to get some production. Now, there are going to be some pitches that are going to limit them, but all in all, I think we both agree. Ramirez is the guy. Just put him in and move on. And then, you get into tournament stuff. Bregman, like I said, Devers, those are guys you can play. All right, shortstop. What are we doing?
So Corey Seager in a lefty-lefty matchup, but Marco doesn't have huge splits. Seager has handled lefties well throughout his career. Don't mind that one. The guy I like particularly is Ahmed Rosario. We love the Cleveland stack, and he is very cheap on FanDuel. He's probably appropriately priced on DK, but on FanDuel particularly, Ahmed Rosario is going to be my
He's guy. Under 3K. Isn't like 2,400?
2,400 on FanDuel. Yep.
Oh God, yeah. Well, he's in my stack, by the way. It was a no-brainer. I couldn't help it.
Oh yeah, he's too cheap.
For sure. Yeah. Also at short, I did play Jeremy Pena. So Jeremy Pena in the 7-hole. These 7-hole hitters, if they come through for me today, a print fest. But Jeremy Pena against Bubbage, he's another guy that I like. We can get Jazza, we can get Story there. Another guy that I don't hate. Like this isn't the top play on the slate, right? But this is gonna feel weird. It might feel gross. I don't hate Kyle Farmer today. This team against Fetty, like doesn't it feel like Cincinnati's going to score 10 runs at home today? Fetty's going to walk some guys. We just need the balls to connect to the bat, and it's bombs away. I like Kyle Farmer. I don't think he's going to have a ton of ownership on FanDuel at 2,900 because he's kind of this. It's kind of more of an awkward play outside of a stack. But I don't hate Farmer today against Fetty. I think the runs will be there.
Yeah, I do too. It's hot in Cincinnati. It's a great ballpark for home run, and Kyle Farmer has sneaky pop. Like he's going to hit a handful, 15 home runs or so this year. I think he could hit one today for sure.
For sure. All right, we're moving to the outfield, and then we will get to those questions. Throw those questions in there. Thank you for the 36 likes. Let's see if we can get this thing to 50 before we close it out. Come on, guys. We got 166 people watching. At least that's what it shows on my screen. Let's get this thing to 50 likes. And who knows? Maybe we'll do something special. All right, Keith, back over to you. Outfield, what are we doing?
All right, Juan Soto, a phenomenal play. Yordan Alvarez, lefty-lefty. Always can play him in a lefty-lefty matchup. Bubich is not a guy that has big splits either, so perfectly fine with that. Don't mind Kyle Tucker with him. Need to make sure he made the line. Yep, he's in there. Brian Reynolds is underpriced with a great matchup against Davies. Jesse Winker continues to be underpriced. I like him at the top of the Seattle lineup. Nick Senzel, another one of those Reds that's just underpriced today. Mr. 3 home run himself, Lane Thomas, like an explosion yesterday. Probably don't expect 3 home runs again from him, but he's really cheap, so he's in play. Julio Rodriguez is a guy I really like. He's been heating up here recently, looking like a rookie of the year candidate. And then Cedric Mullins, I don't mind as a one-off from Baltimore.
Yeah, I like Cedric Mullins. Love that call. He's always a guy I like, maybe just as a one-off to kind of get there. Even so, I've seen Cedric Mullins score 20 fantasy points and everybody else score 3 fantasy points on his own team. Like, well, okay, maybe not 3, maybe they score like 5. But he'll like I've seen him walk the first one, steal a base.
Yeah.
Nobody brings him in. He comes up his next at bat. He hits a single RBI, steals a base, and then he's like at 20, and you're like, nobody else did anything. They scored 2 runs. He's got 20. It's insane. So I love Cedric Mullins. Love that call. Keith, it looks like we got to 54 likes. We got over 50. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. What is your home run call of the day? Keith has got a call that's going out to the ice box. It's going to be a frozen rope to the ice box. Keith, what do we have?
Oh man, I feel like I'm going to steal yours now that you were on Jose Ramirez so much. But I mean, if I have to pick one on this slate, Jose Ramirez is the guy. Just love this spot for him. Going into Baltimore against Tyler Wells, he's hitting a home run today. Well,
listen, I didn't think you were going to sit on him. Looks like you did. I've got my home run call of the day. It's Mr. Walk twice, walk me 3 times. 4th time I'm going to bomb on you. Give me Joey Votto. I think Joey sent it out of the park today. It feels like that time. Love Joey Votto. So we got 2 lefty. Well, I mean, Jose switched, but he'll be lefty today. So Ramirez, Votto, get those guys in your lineups. Looking like a home run call to me for sure. Keith, we're going to try to start fielding some questions here. If we have them, our illustrious producer, Devin, I'm not sure if he's been gathering those or not. If not, that's okay. Let's see where we are. And I'm going to Discord first. So it looks like we had a couple in Discord. Let's do this, Keith. So Fanduel GPP, Jose Ramirez and Amar Rosario, or Brian Hayes and Corey Seager?
First one.
Yep. Same thing here. DK single entry. Seattle stack going to be too chalky for this type of contest. Thinking of many stacking Houston with Seattle. Thanks. That's from JMVP, our boy.
I don't think Seattle's going to be that popular today. Totally fine with that.
Yeah, I don't think so either. All right, FanDuel Cash, Altuve Farmer or Moose Seager. I'm going to take that one. I'm going Altuve Farmer on that one for sure. DK GPPs, any light for Rasmussen? Looking at Rasmussen, then fave of 3,500 or less versus Ashby, maybe Pham or Garcia, and leave 1,100 on the table. I would not take Rasmussen over Ashby today for what it's worth.
I wouldn't either. He just doesn't go deep enough into games. Probably a max pitch count of about 80. So don't mind the matchup against the Sox. He just doesn't go deep enough.
Yeah. Okay. DK GPP, Senzel, Soto, or Reynolds, Sawinski. Bucks mini stat?
I'd probably lean the first one on that. I don't think the Bucks mini stack is crazy. Good matchup there today, but yeah.
Okay. This is another interesting. Yeah, another interesting question here. DK Cash, Juan Soto, Nick Senzel, or Jarren Duran, Yordan Alvarez?
That's close. I'll take the first one there.
Yep. Okay. Senzel or Winker, FanDuel Cash. Man, that's a tough. I feel like it's Senzel. Fetty is the tipping point for me. I think it's Senzel.
Yeah, better ballpark too. So I agree slightly into Senzel.
Yeah. Tommy Pham or Christian Walker, last piece. We're probably both going Pham because of the matchup, I would assume.
Yep.
Okay. FanDuel Cash 2v2. Alvarez, Duran, or Cruz, Pham?
Second one.
Yep. FanDuel GPP, Gore or Pivetta. I'm probably going to side with Pivetta. I like the matchup a little bit better. Where are you at?
I might be on the other side of that. I like the kid Gore.
Okay. DKGPP, any weather worries about Houston stacking Garcia pitching with a 3-hour delay? No, I'm not worried about it. As long as it's a true delay and not him start for an inning and then an hour off and come back. So if it's a straight up delay, I'm cool with Garcia. Fanduel Cash, Farmer Winker or Rosario Bell?
Ooh, that one's really close. Second one.
Fanduel GPP, last in, Adalis. I guess you're talking about Adalis Garcia or Brian Reynolds. Why?
Yeah, I prefer Reynolds slightly. I do like Adalis against against Marco though.
And we are locked. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry we didn't get to all of your questions, but we really appreciate you guys tuning in. Keith, and some of these games, I guess maybe we can talk about it. My favorite stack, and which I talked about it earlier, I pretty much like stacking Cleveland and Houston. That was kind of my combo that I felt like was really tasty. Clearly, there are other plays out there. Can you give us your top stack of the day?
I'm with you on Cleveland today. I absolutely love the stack. Agree with Houston as well. And we've talked about Cincinnati all show. Like it's not just pricing. Like this is a really good spot for them too. Fetty gives up a ton of fly balls, a ton of hard contact, and that's not going to work out very well for him in this park in Cincinnati. So throw Cincinnati in there.
Yeah, he's going to walk some guys too. So I definitely think I'm with you in terms of Cincinnati. Those three feel really good. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you guys coming in, hanging out with us on Crunch Time. We're going to see you back here a little bit later today. If I'm not mistaken, our producer Devin at 6:30. Is that correct? We'll be back 6:30 Eastern time. I will be back. I won't be steering the ship for that show. I'll just be a support staff, if you will. So for Keith, for Devin, for everyone at RotoGrinders, you've been in Crunch Time with the Chief. We'll see you back here at 6:30 Eastern for more MLB action.